In the bustling world of business, you're either moving forward or falling behind. Welcome to For Action Takers Only, the podcast and Facebook group where dreams become reality. We're here to fuel your ambition, sharpen your skills, and inspire your entrepreneurial spirit. Dive into the sea of opportunities with our insightful discussions, expert advice, and powerful success stories. From investment strategies to business building tips, we've got it all. Are you ready to take your first step towards your dream life? Join us on this exciting journey, unleash your potential, and watch as your dreams transform into your reality. Remember, inaction is the enemy of progress. So get on the action train with For Action Takers Only, because the time to act is now and the place to start is here. For those who dare to dream and have the courage to act, the world is their oyster. For Action Takers Only, where dreams meet action. Tune in, take action, and transform your life. Your future self will thank you.
And welcome to For Action Takers Only. We're the podcast for entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and anyone taking action in their life to live their dream life. Today I got on Rob Trigg. He is director of loans at Jett Lending and also is a realtor at EXP part-time. So I'm going to bring him on in and let him share his story. What's going on, Rob?
Oh man, it's a beautiful morning. Not a whole lot. It's been a rough week, but hey, we keep pushing forward.
Right. Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. I appreciate you being patient with me this morning and working through this. So,
yes, sir. How's your week been?
Oh, it's I can't complain. Nobody ever listens. Even on the podcast. No, but we don't want to complain. It was a great week, actually. Got a lot done. I'm doing this college course for real estate investing through Cornell, so learning a whole lot there. And boy, it's been keeping me busy. So yeah. What about your week? You said you had a pretty crazy week, so I really appreciate you taking the time this morning to do this.
Yeah, I mean, we woke up Wednesday morning, regular day, and my wife texted me around noon and said, "Hey, I'm hurting. I'm in pain." I said, well, go to the ER, get checked out. I thought, just might be a kidney stone or something like that. But no, it turned out that she had to get rushed to emergency surgery Wednesday. So we were at the hospital all Wednesday night and all Thursday, pretty much all Thursday day, trying to get her, situated. And so they did an emergency appendectomy, and she said Thursday night, she's like, I want to go to the beach. I said, well, I got a podcast on Saturday. I think I can do it there. But, she's like, I don't care. I just want to go relax. So we're down here in Crystal Beach, and appreciate you having me on.
No, I appreciate you being on, man. And it was good meeting you at that meetup the other day.
Yes, sir.
That was a good meetup. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in real estate and doing these loans?
Well, it's a funny story. I go back almost 10 years, pretty much 10 years. My brother-in-law and sister live in the Woodlands, and I was in the military for 21 years, and about 2 years out, they encourage you to go to all these retirement they're retirement events, basically, where speakers come in and they talk to you and they say, hey, we're wanting to recruit these type of people. And Texas State Troopers came to Fort Campbell, and I was like, heck yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna be a state trooper. Always wanted to be a police officer since I can remember. Always wanted to serve. I went the military route, and then I was like, hey, I can naturally progress into this. Anyways, long story short, went home for a visit. We were on our way to a Tim McGraw concert, and we were in back of a limousine. And my brother-in-law, Johnny Hayes, who is a co-owner of Jett Lending, everybody was asking me, hey, you're close to retirement. What you going to do? And I told him, natural progression, probably go police. And he looked at me. He's like, Rob, that's not what you're going to do. And I said, well, what am I going to do? He's like, you don't want to be a cop. They don't make any money. I was like, well, I kind of do. He's like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you come down here, Houston? We'll get you involved in real estate and get you involved in closing loans and stuff like that. And I basically thought he was joking. at the end of the day, here we are.
All right. So
Yeah.
10 years ago, huh?
Yeah, about 10 years ago. And I retired from the Army, came down to Houston, um, hit the ground running, got my real estate license, went and worked for a team with Keller Williams. Kind of wasn't it wasn't, I didn't enjoy going and showing people homes, which, I mean, hey, there's things for everybody to enjoy, but it was a Saturday day and I had gone and shown somebody like 12 homes, and we went back to the first one and made an offer on the very first one we looked at. And I'm like, this is not for me. This is not for me. I can't do this. I need something that's more challenging. And honestly, I was going to pack up bags and go move up north to where all my friends were in Longview, Texas, in that area. And Johnny reached out at that point in time and said, hey, we want you to come on at Jett Lending, and we think you'd be beneficial here. And I remember I started in the smallest cubicle at Jett Lending, and now I'm the director of loan operations. And I told Johnny when we interviewed, I said, look, just because I'm your brother-in-law, I don't want any special treatment. I want to, if I'm gonna earn my way there, I want to earn my way there. And here we are now, and I'm running the whole loan origination department. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
And how long have you been running that department?
I've been running it technically about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, what was your job in the military?
Aviation.
Aviation.
With a background in petroleum supply, also, but mostly aviation.
All right. So when you got into this real estate stuff and loan and lending, you didn't have any experience with it.
Zero experience whatsoever. I mean, other than buying my own houses, somebody told me a long time ago, and it had nothing to do with Jett Lending or even real estate in Houston. We were deployed to Iraq, and a good friend of mine, he's a real estate agent, still to this day a real estate agent. We were sitting at lunch one day talking, and he said, the most powerful thing you can do is buy real estate. That kind of resonated with me because I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. And he's like, and we started talking, and I'm just a young, impressionable E5 first deployment, 2004 to 2005. And we get back, and I said, you know what? I think I want to buy my own house. Because he said, why are you going to pay somebody else's mortgage? Buy a house, let it appreciate. When you PCS or move somewhere else, you're going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I like making money. So bought my first house, and from there, every single time I transferred stations, or I bought a house, and I'd make $20,000 to $30,000 just off the equity being there 4 or 5 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, and then natural progression. Never thought I'd be in real estate at all. Never even crossed my.
Nope. Now I bet you can't see yourself out of or not doing this, right?
Well, I mean, it's challenging, but at the end of the day, you kind of get addicted to it. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but there's days that you're just wanting to pull your hair out, and there's days that you're sitting back laughing, having a good time, and it's challenging. Every day is something new learned, some new engagement, something new that you're dealing with, new clients, new challenges. And I mean, who wouldn't want a job like that,
Right. Instead of the same meaningless, boring stuff day after day.
I mean, there's the people that go and do the same job every single day and don't have any challenges. I don't know how they do it. I mean, even in the military for 21 years, it's always something different.
Right.
Whether you're going on this deployment or this deployment, there was always challenges there. And I mean, it just, I think my personality and the person that I am, I have to be challenged, or I'm just, I'm not gonna succeed. So
right. I can see that. So getting into real estate, transferring from the military. I mean, I see you went to the Champion School of Realtors or whatever. How was that? I thought about doing that same school.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's a good school. Everybody that I know of usually goes there to get their real estate license. Very, very good school. It was about 4 months of just classes every day when I first moved to Houston. And, everybody's like, hey, it's challenging to take your real estate exam. It's very challenging. So, I mean, there's a lot of hype in it, to get your real estate license. It's the hardest test you'll ever take and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I hate taking tests. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And the whole time, this anxiety is building up. I go take the test and aced it. So they prepare you for it. I think it's probably one of the better real estate schools that I've heard of. There's a lot of people and a lot of other establishments that offer the same education, but they actually prepare you for the test and make sure that you are going to be successful as a real estate agent. Every time I have continuing education, I still go back to them, even though there's cheaper, more affordable, more quicker routes. I always like the interaction, going to the classroom or having a Zoom call, because dude, I've picked up clients just going back and getting continuing education. Just
Okay.
like, hey, when we start talking about legal or whatever, I'll drop in based upon the knowledge that I have. And most of the students are in there like, how does this guy know all this? Well, I've got a great mentor. At the end of the day, when you've got somebody that's teaching you about real estate and the true real estate, how to comp properties and what to look out for. And I mean, is it on a busy street? Has it flooded? I mean, these are things that most real estate agents don't pay attention to. So being in a hard money lending or being an asset-based lender, you've got to know different particulars about how to evaluate a property based upon comps, where it's located, condition, all of that stuff, that most real estate agents will go and pull comps on within a mile and say, oh, well, these are comparable. Well, there's a lot of factors that go into that to make sure that they're comparable. That, again, no offense to real estate agents, they just don't pay attention to.
Okay. So you talked about a mentor. You mentioned a mentor. Who was your very first mentor in real estate and lending?
Well, I would have to say Johnny was my first. Eddie Gant, also really big name. He's a good mentor. Ehab, I'm gonna butcher his last name, but he runs a company called Rehab with Ehab. He's taught me a lot, and those three people, I would say, have taught me more about real estate than anybody else. So.
All right. So you would say a mentor in this is pretty important then, huh?
Well, if you're I always say this, if you're going to be in real estate, you're going to learn two different ways. And the two different ways you're going to learn is A, through making mistakes, or B, through somebody teaching you the right way. I'd rather be taught the right way. Now, again, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to either buy it too high. The market's going to shift. Interest rates are going to go up. Things are going to happen that are out of your control. And I always tell anybody that's, getting into investing or anything like that, is the only time that you make money on a real estate transaction is not when you sell it, not when you rehab it. It's when you purchase it. When you purchase the property is when you make the most money. The deeper you buy, the more equity you put into the property. The only thing you can control in a real estate transaction and make where you're making your money is how you bought it and what purchase price you bought it at. And I mean, a lot of people have learned a lot of valuable lessons through us and through Jett Lending, because we try to teach the right way to buy real estate.
Okay.
So,
now I'm struggling. Here's where my struggles are: knowing a real deal, okay, and what value. Here's my struggle: why I don't know what a real deal or a good deal should be, because I'm struggling valuing the land or the properties. Land and properties. Land, I have absolutely no idea on right now. People have asked me about land. It's like I have no idea how to value land. And then valuing a house.
well, so land is tricky. you can value it two different ways. There's a website, and I wish I would have been a little bit more prepared, but there is a website. I think it's texasland.com or something like that. Anyways, I can get it for you. But at the end of the day, you can go into this website and see what land is selling for. And a good rule of thumb is to try to find like and similar acreages on this website, see what they sold for, and be able to average it out and see what it's selling per square foot, or what it's selling for per acre. At the end of the day, that is a very good way to figure out what land is worth. Another thing about land is you have to pay attention to deed restrictions. Huge issue. If it has a lot of deed restrictions on what you can build there or what you can put on it, that land's going to be devalued. Flood conditions. Does it have access to city electric? Is it at the road? Is there any encroachments? There's a lot of different things that will come into land evaluation. And do you have direct access to it? Meaning you don't have to go through somebody else's land to get to the land that you're borrowing or stuff like that.
Okay.
So those things are very important when evaluating land. Properties, as far as single family duplexes, single family 1 to 4, it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it on how to, come up with your comps. You always want to try to stay within a mile of your actual property.
Okay.
You always want to try to stay within the actual subdivision. There's a lot of people that'll go into different subdivisions. I'll use my neighborhood for good measure. You have two similar subdivisions by two different builders in the same subdivision. One is a gated community and one is not. It doesn't say that on the comps. All it says is Wildwood at Oak Crest. Two different builders, two different style homes, two different everything. In this little gated community, those houses are selling for probably $200,000 or more, but it still says Wildwood at Oak Crest. It's the different sections of that subdivision. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They'll go pull comps from the gated community and try to evaluate it based upon comps that are outside that gated community. And that's just a simple explanation. There's a lot of people or a lot of investors that will look at a property and be like, especially on a busy street. This is one that kills investors every single time. They will say, it's in this neighborhood. It has to sell for this. But out your front door is a 4-lane road.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you go on the Google photos and all you see is traffic zooming by from every photo you have. That limits who's going to buy that property. You got a mom with 2 small kids that walks that property with her husband. She's going to whisper in his ear, let's get out of here right now.
Right.
I mean,
I know,
that's just not a property that
I've come across that.
Yeah, families are not going to buy.
Yeah, I've definitely come across that. I've been, learning to comp. I'll catch myself, okay, well, that's not in the neighborhood. Now, what do you do on these weird properties, say some rural, some maybe not so rural, that they don't really have any comparables near them or in the same neighborhood, or they're not even in a neighborhood?
Now, that's where experience comes in. I will tell you, Beaumont has a lot of this. Beaumont area. Beaumont has a lot of this. And because when people move to Beaumont, they stay there. All right. And so you don't have a whole lot of comps in these rural areas. Beaumont's not necessarily a rural area, but there are little pockets over there in that area. And looking at the style, the age, and just the mere components of the house, you can pretty much target it just off of gut and what you've seen throughout your years of experience. And this is not an easy task. By any means. I have looked probably in my career and I evaluate something like 200 properties a month over the last 9 years.
Wow.
personally closed probably 4,000 loans myself. Well, hold on, that's a little too much. Probably about 2,500. I'm sorry, 2,500 loans myself. Um, when you close that many properties, look at that many appraisals, and look and evaluate that many deals, you become an expert in saying, okay, I think I know these values. And when you become the expert, then nobody can tell you anything. And at the end of the day, you don't want to be rude to your clients, but there's a lot of first come real estate agents that say, oh, my real estate agent told me they could sell it for that. Well, they may be able to sell it for that. That is a true statement.
Mm-hmm.
But as a lender and as a real estate expert and as a lender, we've got to look and see what the reality of it is. Now, granted, you may be able to sell it 6 months down the road because interest rates drop, everything goes back to the way it was in 2020, and it sells for that. But right now, the data is telling us that it's not going to sell for that. And that's what we have to go off of, what the data says right now. A lot of people don't pay attention to actives versus pendings. That's huge right now. Actives versus pendings is probably the biggest thing. You get in a neighborhood where you got, let's say, 40 total comps, right? You got 20 solds. So you're thinking, hey, that's pretty, but you got 15 actives and 5 pendings with only 4 solds. I mean, that's kind of a weak market right now, you know?
Right.
We're seeing that all over pockets of Houston where you've got these huge number of actives, very few pendings, and not a whole lot sold. And at the end of the day, you got to pay attention to that, especially today in the market that we're currently in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, coming into lending from being a realtor, how did that start? I mean, when you first got in, what was it like getting into lending, learning the lending side? Because I mean, it's got to be completely different. Now you got to look at a completely different set of things, and you're deeper diving into the value. So, how hard was that when you first got into that?
You know, it was challenging. I will say that. You know, because you're looking at it from a real estate point of view of what it could sell for. Because real estate agents are always taught, hey, try to get as much value out of the property as you can for your client. I mean, realistically, try to get as much value. And I don't ever fault a real estate agent for that. You're trying to assist your client to make as much money as they can on the property. But when you go to the lending side of things, you have to pay attention to what the average sale is. And conservatively, you have, like I just stated, you have to pay attention to the fact that right now the market may be good, or right now the market may be bad. You have to go off of what today's details are, and then a little bit massage it to the fact of what maybe it's going to do and speculate a little bit. But, you know, as lenders, we try not to speculate very much because we want to make sure that we're protected, the client's protected, because things could always get worse. So it was pretty challenging trying to change the mindset of, hey, these clients can get this. You know, they have a real estate agent. The real estate agent's telling them that. I'm a real estate agent. You've got to shift your mind away from getting max value and protecting the asset and loaning on how it stands currently. You know, especially on these ARV loans that we do, or these after repair value loans that we do, it's a huge thing to get what the as is value and what we're lending at closing on the current value of the house, because most of these are distressed assets, and we're talking about considerably distressed assets.
Right. Now, are you having to educate either the buyer or the seller at times? Like, hey, this is, and you just said that a lot of them are unrealistic about the value at times. So you're having to educate them on this.
We do a lot of education. We're probably one of the only lenders that actually does a true evaluation of the property. And we do a full-blown desktop appraisal. There's 3 eyes that look at it. Every single property, you got your loan officer, you'll have me as the director, and then you'll have the underwriter, Eddie Gant. He's been in the business for 26 years. There's not one person that I know that can stump him, and I'd be probably second on values of a property. And at the end of the day, when you have a team like that supporting you, dude, that is invaluable. And I always say this, even if you're not going to close an investment property with a hard money lender, send it to one of them and let them tell you if the value makes sense or not. And they'll tell you quick. If a hard money lender won't lend on it for what you're buying it for, then you should take heed.
Okay.
So,
all right. So, hey, are you a reader? Do you read a lot?
I wish I had time.
Right.
I wish I had more time. I listen to a lot of books. I don't read very much. I guess that counts as reading, listening to books.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you have any podcasts you listen to on a regular?
No, I really don't. I mean, there's a few. I listen to some Joe Rogan a little bit. I listen to. I think he's pretty interesting. There's another one. I can't think of his name right now, and I'm embarrassed that he's a pretty funny comedian that I watch his, because he's got a lot of very interesting. I think it's Theo. Is that his name? Theo?
Yes. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. I listen to him. I mean, he just had Trump on. He's had a lot of very interesting people on his podcast. So I like to listen to interesting people and get different point of views to try to grow and stuff like that.
All right. So someone starting out as a real estate investor, first off, what kind of advice would you give them?
Get educated, but most importantly, take action. There's a lot of investors out there that are scared to take action. You have to actually get up and put everything into practice. I use this analogy a lot when I'm in front of people talking. You got the NFL, you got college sports, you've got all these sports teams that get out there, and Monday through Friday, even on Saturday, they practice, do run-throughs, do drills. They have quarterback room, running back room, wide receiver rooms. They study. They study their opponent, but on Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, college and pro, they go and take action. Guys, anybody watching this, at the end of the day, you can get a ton of education, but the best practice is to take action. And if you're not doing that, you're just going to sit on the sidelines and wish that you could take action. Yes, it's scary. I don't think that there's an NFL team or quarterback or anything, when he goes and lines up for that first play, doesn't have that feeling in his stomach. Is this going to be the play that a career-ending injury, or is this going to be a first down, or am I going to lose yardage, or am I going to get laughed at off the field? I guarantee you, even Tom Brady, in his last play that he ever played, he was probably thinking somewhere in his mind, I've got to do this right. I've got to do it to where I don't let my team down. And whether it's your family that's your team, or you're planning for retirement, you got to take action to make it come true. You have to.
Do you remember your first deal? Like, say, first real estate deal. Let's hear about it. You remember the first one you did on real estate?
Yeah. It's actually when I was still in the military. If that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I bought a house in Nolanville, Texas, coming right back from Iraq. And I bought it for $88,000. Brand new build. Like unheard of. 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Now that I'm into real estate, it had linoleum floors, Formica countertops. But I thought this thing was the most beautiful thing that I'd ever sat foot in, 25-year-old kid, 30-year-old kid that's like bought his first house and kept it, I bought it in 2005, sold it in 2008 at the right at the beginning of the peak of the crash.
Uh-oh.
I made $40,000 off that house.
Oh, yeah?
$40,000. That's how much real estate had gone up from 2005 to 2008. And literally walked away with $40,000. I bought it for 88 and sold it for 120. And I was just blown away. I was just like, here's a kid with $40,000 in his account, you know, going to be a recruiter in Longview, Texas. And I was like, huh. Anyways, I put that money away, and I actually put it in Jett lending, and was making a return off of that money every month. And I called Johnny and said, "Hey, I got $40,000 here. I don't know what to do with these. Like, send it over to me. I'll protect it for you, so you don't spend it." My dad called me and said the same thing. Send that over to Johnny, and I put it in Jett lending, and kept it there for years. So yeah.
So that's awesome. So what was it like? Now, could you remember your first loan deal after getting into Jett lending?
Oh, Lord. My first?
Well, you don't have to do the first. Does any stand out?
You know, I remember the first year that I was there, when I'd evaluate properties, I made a huge mistake in trying to spend everybody else's money for them. And let me explain that. I would look at the numbers and be like, there's no way that I would put this money down on a house or an investment property. And I would literally try to talk the clients out of it. And I was like, and eventually, Eddie pulled me to the side and he said, "Don't spend other people's money." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he's like, "Well, at the end of the day, the client has to make the decision on whether they want to put $20,000, $30,000. Your job is to present the numbers, present the data, and let them know, hey, I would move forward with this." He's like, now at the end of the day, and he gave me some calculations and to help me improve. If they're not making this much money on the property, then yes, then we deter them. But you let them make the decision up front. And anyways, learning that model, you should always want to make 15 to 18% after everything paid on any investment property you do. So if you're bringing $20,000 to closing, but you're going to make 60 on the back end, that's still a good deal. And get your $20,000 back. If you're putting $10,000 down and going to make $30,000 on the back end, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still making money. So never spend somebody else's money is, I think, the most valuable lesson I learned as a new loan officer with Jett lending.
Okay. So what were some pivotal moments while you were learning the lending? Do you have anything like that? Hey, this is a game changer for me. When I learned this in lending.
Yes. You know, I don't like talking bad about clients. I really don't. I think everybody's entitled to make mistakes. But the one thing that I have learned is that through this 9 years of lending almost, is that regardless of whether they're a good client or not, and regardless of your relationship with them, and regardless of how many deals with you've done, the one thing I will say is that even the good clients can go bad. So you always have to protect, as I stated earlier, and lend on the actual value of the property and not stretch for clients that just because they're a good guy today does not mean they're not going to be a good guy down the road. And that is one of the biggest things that I've had to learn. Tough love that you have to start approaching every client as if they're going to eventually go bad on you. Now, I'm not saying that every client does go bad on you, but especially in the last 2 years, we just had to refocus and get back to the basics of lending, on how we lend and who we lend to. And some of our best clients have actually, they've gone bad on us, and that was hard for me to learn, because you always want to see the good in people, and you always want to see that they're going to do the best and do what they say.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, that's the hardest lesson I've had to learn.
All right. So how do you think the market has changed people? Do you think the market has played a role in that?
Yes. I think we've definitely seen the less serious investors in the last 2 years come across the table, and we've got more experienced people that we're dealing with, higher end, higher net worth individuals that are buying properties, and a lot of people are getting creative on how they have to finance deals. You've got to have right now multiple exit strategies. You can't just rely on selling a property, because right now interest rates are higher. It's an election year. The only people that are buying properties right now are the people that really want to, or I shouldn't say want to, they have to buy a house. And I think that's going to continue until after the election, to see where everything's going to go, or which direction it's going to head. And then people will start buying again naturally. They'll be like, well, we got to buy now, regardless of the outcome of, November 5th, or regardless of the outcome of the election. People will then wake up and say, okay, hey, we've got to make a decision here. It's always like that in an election year. Things kind of get soft,
Right.
in my opinion. So that's where we stand.
So you mentioned creative. Now I'm in a community called Sub 2 community. I don't know if you've ever heard that, Pace Morby.
I've heard of Sub 2 communities.
Yeah. So, and they deal more with this, doing deals subject to the existing mortgage, and then doing creative financing. So in the last 10 years, since you've been in loaning and real estate the last 10 years, how have you seen creative finance come into it?
Well,
like 10 years ago, was it prevalent 10 years ago, creative financing?
Creative financing has always been prevalent, but to speak to subject twos, you have a lot of people that can't pay their mortgages, and this is a way for them to deed the property over to somebody that can, assume that note and move forward and pay that note. There's a lot of people that are letting them stay in the house and pay them back rent. I've seen that in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, hey, we know you can't afford it, but can you afford this rent? And they're like, yes or no. And a lot of people will take over that mortgage, get it up to date, keep that property, keep the existing mortgage in place, and allow them to, rent. But at the end of the day, it's more prevalent for creative financing in that aspect now. I always say hard money lending is creative financing. It is a way to it's not just as cut and dry. Hey, we loan 70% on this, or there's always a way to make a deal happen. There's always a way to get an investment property funded. I always say this, that we are a way to do business, not the way to do business. So to answer your question, in the last 2 years, creative financing has gotten more prevalent than just your average, hard money lending or private money lending. Trying to, I guess, build equity in more creative ways.
Right. Now, has that hurt or has that caused your business to grow? More people looking for alternate ways of financing homes?
It's with interest rates going up, and every lender out there is probably feeling the blunt of it right now. Business is not as happy as it was, when the interest rates were at 3, 4, 2%. I mean, that's just natural, and I think that's one of the biggest things that people have to pay attention to is the ups and the downs. And if you're doing things the right way, you're going to survive the downs.
Okay. Is it harder? Are y'all clamping down on who you loan to? Are your requirements for loans?
Well, of course, when there's always downticks, you have to adjust, or you'll fail. You have to become more diligent and more prevalent in your underwriting, who you're underwriting to, and at the end of the day, if it's a good deal, and the client's buying it, I don't mean to say good enough, but at the end of the day, if they're buying it deep enough and there's a whole lot of equity in it, we will take advisement and get creative on anybody that brings us a deal, whether it be a 400 credit score or 800 credit score.
Okay.
There's always a lending option as an asset-based lender, hard money lender. There's always a lending option in the state of Texas for us.
Okay, so that you just hinted on my next question. What about credit scores for people? So say me, I'll give you an example. I'm going to be very honest here. I got a shit credit score because in COVID, I had to let some things go and was looking at losing my job. So I decided to make some bad decisions and consolidate some stuff and listen to some people. And they say, well, let your credit go to consolidate it. And yeah, I'm still working on trying to repair that. That was a big mistake.
Yeah. I mean, I always say this: life happens to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Life happens to everybody. You try to do the best you can. In your situation is one of the prime examples. Just because your credit's bad doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Right.
You can't judge somebody solely off of their credit score. You have people go through divorces, and hey, I thought my wife was paying this. I thought my husband was paying this. He didn't. We went to court. We were behind 5 months. I got awarded the house, and now it's affected my credit. Trying to get that note caught up, and that happens. That happens to a lot of people that most people don't realize. At the end of the day, if you've got a decent investment property, whether it be a fix or flip, there are creative ways to even do 30-year loans with negative credit scores. There's very creative ways.
Okay.
There are, I hate to say it, there's subprime loan institutions that will do 30-year loans at a very, very significant loan to value. So if you've got a killer deal, and I mean killer deal, and you've got your credit's tanked due to your circumstances, you can still buy real estate. You can do as many flips as you want to and make as much money as you want to. Now, with a flip, that's all work.
Right.
You got to work on buying it, you got to work on rehabbing it, manage it, and then you got to work on selling it. The way that you build long-term wealth is through holding properties and letting appreciation make you into a millionaire. And that's what I'm hoping for by the time I'm 60, is to be a couple million in the bank, cash out everything, and then just walk away.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you where you see yourself in 10 years.
That's an interesting question. Hopefully healthy. Hopefully with a whole lot more investment properties. To shift kind of away from real estate and talk a little bit about health. There's a lot of people out there that don't pay too much attention to, taking time to making sure that they are physically and mentally healthy as well. And that's one of the biggest things to being successful. Not just taking action as far as,
Say that again.
What was that?
Say that again.
Say what again?
That's like one of the biggest things to being successful, being healthy.
That's one of the biggest things to being successful is to be healthy. Most people don't realize that feeling good every day, waking up feeling good every day, being motivated, it is your key to getting out there and killing it every day. Yeah, I'm not saying that there's not a day that doesn't suck or that I'm in a bad mood, but at the end of that day, I always find solace or peace or whatever to going to the gym and putting in a hard workout making sure that I'm not eating junk food all day, consuming enough water, and making sure that my body stays healthy so that I can. First of all, I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old up there, and I'm 48 years old. Okay, so they start jumping on you all day. I mean, I'm like,
That
hey,
takes a lot.
it takes a lot. Like I was a late bloomer. I did not have kids till I was 43 years old.
Same here.
And like, so I'm just like, I don't know what was wrong with me. And my buddy Alex at the office says, dude, when I got married 6 years ago, he's like, you have been a bachelor. You have escaped 40 years of life. Like, don't do this. And I'm like, no. He's like, you have been, you're past, he's like, just stay single. And I will tell you this: I would not trade my wife and my kids for anything in this world because they are. I hate to be cheesy, but they are what complete me. Like they are what centers me. They are what makes me feel like I gotta go do the best for them, and I gotta go achieve more, and I've got to go put them through college, and I've got to make sure that there's generational wealth for them, so that they don't have to struggle like I did. Now, I didn't struggle as far as everybody has their own struggle story or whatever, but I don't want them to have to go in the military and then come up and start from scratch. I want to be able to hand something down to them that they can say, okay, my dad worked his butt off, to also instill that in them that, hey, this is not going to come free.
No,
this is going to come easy. There's going to be days in your life that you're like, man, I don't want to get up and do this, but you got to.
Yeah, I'm trying to instill my boys that right now. It's just like, hey, you guys, look at how hard I'm doing this. Look at what I have to sacrifice to do things to try and get, and I always tell them, I'm doing this so y'all will have a better life than I did.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I talked to a guy the other day, and he said, the baby boomers and Generation X are the ones that created the soft generation. And I said, wait. No, I don't agree with that. I think it was, he said the tail end of baby boomers and Generation X is what he actually said. Okay. I said, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the kids that we're producing are the ones that are getting creative on how they can build wealth. You got all these people on TikTok that are taking their accounts and making millions and millions of dollars, just off doing video content and selling stuff off of a platform. That's entrepreneurship. That's them thinking outside the box. That's them watching their parents that, like me and you, that are, true entrepreneurs and true hard workers that saying, hey, I can do this too. And the parents encouraging that, the guy, Gary Lee Vanderlick, you know him?
Haven't heard the name. No.
Gary Lee. I think it's Gary Lee. I may be butchering that name. So anyways.
You Vaynerchuk.
Yes.
Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's raising his kids the way I kind of am raising mine. Yes, we go to church. Yes, I want them to believe in God. Yes, I want them to have all the morals and everything like that. But at the end of the day, when they become teenagers, they get, I don't want them to be fearful of education. I want them to take this device right here and know how to use it effectively.
Yes.
I don't want them to fear this like a lot of parents. Oh, that's too much screen time. That's too much. Because this is not going away. It's not going anywhere. In fact, no. I mean, we're a month away from I hate to plug iPhone, but from iPhone's probably biggest launch in AI technology, having AI built into the actual phone. I mean, we're less than a month away from that happening, and somebody having an AI robot in their hand to be able to, this Chat GPT is going crazy. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to know what's authentic and what's not. And diving, not to go into a rabbit hole, but you got to train your kids to be responsible too, and be responsible with technology, and making sure that, hey, yeah, you use it, but you use it to where it's not taking away the authenticity of who you really are.
Right.
And, that's,
or you're not just wasting your life watching shorts and ruining your attention span.
yes. You got to get out. Like, you got to get out, and you got to play outside. You got to go swimming. You got to do gymnastics. My girls are in gymnastics now. So, I mean, you got to do those activities instead of just plugged away in front of a screen, swipe. So
Right.
being responsible and using the technology.
Yeah. So since you're a loan, you've been doing loans and lending, you were a realtor. What kind of investments do you own?
Well,
yourself?
right now, currently we have 2 rentals. One is a short term down here that we're at today, and another one is in Tomball.
Okay. And what's the name of that one? Is that the Tipsy
The
Beach
Tipsy
House?
Tavern. Yeah.
The Tipsy Tavern. That's what you call it. Okay.
Yeah. That my wife came up with that. We're actually having this. I don't know. It's this. I guess it's a glass sign made where it's got a lot of detail in it. It's this big. It's Tipsy Tavern, so we can put it out front. She actually came up with that name driving down here. We both like to relax. We both like our alcoholic beverage every now and then. I will tell you, since I've had kids, I don't have time to drink. Like, like as soon as I come through the door, I have to bring my A game, because my 4-year-old is like 100% like me. It's a spitting image of me, only she's a female. I mean, always on the go, always charging ahead from the time that she's up in the morning, from the time that she lays her head down. It's just go, 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 go. And I mean, that's my personality wrapped up into a female. So she's me made over. I mean, so I've always got to bring my A game. And, typically when you drink, the next day you can't bring your A game.
No, not at all.
So my drinking has literally subsided over the last 4 years. But every now and then we like our football, and we like to have a cold beverage. And Madeline, she said, "Why don't we call it the Tipsy Tavern?" I was like, "Hey, that's pretty cool."
So how long have you had that property now?
We've had it a little over a year and a half on Airbnb. We made Superhost very, very quickly. We have not had a negative review yet. Made some pretty good money off of it. When we bought it, there was no intention of making a whole lot of money, but it surprised us. In the summertime, we make from March to September, we're making really good. Okay. And then, from October, November, but we actually got a booking for December, for the whole month of December. And we're like, heck yeah, we're excited about that. Because, it'll be cold and make some money off of it anyway,
All right. So what are you going to buy? You looking to do more?
Oh, of course. I mean, there's no investor out there that says, I wish I would have bought less real estate. There's no investor out there that says, I wish I would have waited later to get into this real estate game. I mean, that's just not something that a real estate investor says once they're in it.
Right.
At the end of the day, I think we're poised to see what the election does. Regardless of what side of the fence you're on or what side of the aisle, it's going to be hugely important on where we are in 2025.
Right.
I think after things calm down a little bit and we start getting some rate decreases, regardless of who's in office, you're going to see some rate decreases because, you can't stay this high, this elevated for this long.
Yeah, and have it. Yeah, no, it's been bad, and people are getting pissed. You see it more and more. Even the other side, they're getting pissed. So
yeah, I mean, it's regardless of what side you're on, real estate's important. It's what drives our economy. And the other thing that drives our economy is entrepreneurs and people that like, you, me, and all the investors out there that are actually creating the economy. And it's tough. It's a tough business, but it's rewarding. So, you work hard, you also play hard, try to relax and try to, enjoy life a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So we're getting down to the last few minutes. How do people find you and find Jett Lending?
Well, I mean, if you can't find Jett Lending, then you
Right.
must be lost. You can find us at www.jettlending.com. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Rob Trigg, or The Real Estate Veteran. There's not a place that you can't find me. I'm posting every day. I try to do a daily 10-minute tip of the day or something like that to kind of energize people. And it just depends on if I have time to do it that day. But usually we go live somewhere in the afternoon around 3:30 to try to give somebody encouragement during the day. I mean, there's in this crazy time that we live in, there's a lot of negative stuff out there. And people can get wrapped up in negative really quick. And adjusting your mindset on a daily basis is very crucial to success. My 3 keys to success: physical fitness, eating healthy, and recentering myself to ensure that I don't let the negative stuff creep up into my brain.
Right. Now, I just wanted to touch real quick because I did see you're into keto, the keto diet and stuff like that.
Well, I was into keto. Yeah, I was. I will tell you, I'm not as much into keto as I was. I'm more into just a low carb diet, and the keto's not sustainable in my opinion.
All right.
It's really not. But a low carb diet is. Your body needs carbs, but it's the right kind of carbs that you put into it. And everybody's probably going to listen to this podcast and be like, oh, I can go eat McDonald's. I will tell you this, to touch base on physical fitness. When my daughter was 1 year old, I weighed 250 pounds. And I looked in the mirror and looked at pictures of her first birthday and said, now, this is after going to the doctor 3-4 times. I just thought it was natural, like my health was failing because I was in the military for so long. Well, no, it was because I was not paying attention to what they instilled in us in the Army, and I was eating Oreos and McDonald's and, just got married and happy, and the wife wasn't telling me I was looking bad. So, hey, why not, indulge a little bit.
Right.
Then I looked in the mirror and I was like, this is not who I want to be. This is not what I want to be. And I started the keto diet. And now if it does not grow in the earth or has a pulse, cows, deer meat, whatever, protein, no processed foods whatsoever. I will not eat any processed foods. None. I mean, I'll eat any steak. I'll eat bacon. I'll eat anything that is naturally cut, animal fat, whatever, I eat a lot of fruit as far as to get my carbohydrates. Don't eat a ton of like breads or unnatural sugars. You'll hardly ever see me eat any sweets like cookies or anything like that. Every now and then, like once a month, I might have a cookie or something like that. But other than that, I mean, it's just
stay away from it, huh?
I just stay away from it. And it is, I went from 250 on average. Now I'm about 190. And that was,
all right.
I've maintained 190 now. Every now and then, like I'll get real heavy in the gym and I'll get down to about 185. And I look at myself and say, whoa, I need to bulk up a little bit. I'm a little too light. So
cool deal. So, all right, I got your LinkedIn or your link tree. I'm going to put that in the description, and so other people can find you and all that too. So we're getting down. We've been going an hour now. I really appreciate your time coming on here, telling us how you got started and everything.
Absolutely.
So any last words of advice for people that might see this?
I'm just going to end with what I said earlier. Take action.
Absolutely.
Every single day, you've got to take action. You've got to wake up with a winning attitude. If you don't wake up with that winning attitude, call me, and I will get you motivated to where you do have a winning attitude. Because
Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
There's too many people that wake up with excuses instead of waking up to take action. Everybody in the world has an excuse of what they can't do. Find the excuse of what you can do and do that day. And if you can do that, you'll be successful. Honestly, this is not some bullcrap pitch. I mean, regardless of your circumstances, there's bad things that happen to everybody every day. You've got to overcome that. You've got to be resilient, and you've got to just learn from your mistakes. And then at the end of the day, take action.
Yep. Now, you said Jett Lending does some training and education. What kind of education and how often?
Well, we got numerous videos on YouTube that you can go to. We can teach. We'll teach you how to buy properties. We'll teach you how to evaluate deals. There's numerous videos on there on how and where to buy properties. And you cannot sit there and not get educated. That's for sure. We got
now,
and there's plenty of stuff on my Facebook page.
All right. And do you all do events around Houston?
We do second Friday of every month at the Texas Real Estate Center. I have an event. It's always on a different subject to try to teach investors. Last month we did real estate math. I've got to start planning out the one for September. But at the end of the day, it's always, I think I want to do one on health and fitness in September, and I think it's a good time because rolling in, and I know we're going a little bit longer than we should, but rolling into the holiday season, most people do not realize that is the most time when people get sick, and it's not because the weather gets cold. I will tell you it's because they're not eating right and they're consuming too much sugar. Sugar causes inflammation, which causes your body to immune system to crash, and you get sick. I will tell you, since I've been on this diet, low carb, natural sugars, meaning peaches, grapes, stuff like that, I have not had the flu in over 4 years. Now, hey, I'm knocking on wood. I mean, even during COVID, I've gotten it and never felt the effects.
Huh. I had it. It wasn't too bad. It was only a 3-day thing for me, but
yeah. Now that my heart goes out to anybody else that's suffered really hard, but I honestly think it's because of diet and my immune system's so strong that it can fight it off.
I believe that too.
So,
man, I really appreciate your time and you taking the time out to do this week.
Yeah, let's do it again sometime, man. It's awesome.
We should set up some learning things online here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do some learning things online. But yeah, definitely. Rob Trigg, people, everybody go check him out. He's got on Facebook, Jett Lending. You can find him, Jett Lending. And thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Todd, I appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
You too, sir. I'm going to end this right now.